A day after his aide was arrested on suspicion of spying for China, German member of European Parliament Maximilian Krah has refused to step down. He said that he would sack the staffer who had been accused of passing information about discussions in the EU legislature to Chinese intelligence. Germany has been rocked by a spying scandal. The member of European Parliament's aide is among 4 people arrested on suspicion of spying for China. Earlier, 2 persons were arrested on suspicion for spying for Russia. Meanwhile, Krah, who is the far-right alternative for Germany's party's top candidate in the upcoming European Parliament elections, has said he wouldn't be participating in campaigning for now.
If you now believe that this is the end of me being the top candidate of my party, then I have to disappoint you. I am and will remain the top EU candidate. What matters is now that we refocus the election campaign on European issues and move away from this ultimately very unpleasant manner.
And for the latest, DW correspondent Nicole Frölich is joining us live from Berlin. Nicole, what do we know about these alleged spies?
Well, Shabendo, it's been quite a week here in Germany. Not only one spying scandal, several. At this point, really, there are more questions than answers. The first arrest came on Thursday of last week, the suspects being 2 dual German-Russian citizens alleged to have coordinated with Moscow to carry out sabotage attacks on industrial and military infrastructure in Germany, linked all of those to the training of Ukrainian soldiers. One of those alleged spies actually fought against Ukraine in the area of Donetsk, which was illegally annexed by Russia in 2022, and that is how the authorities caught on to him. On Monday, then, 3 German citizens were arrested suspected of supplying information on military technology to a Chinese intelligence service. The prosecutor says 2 of them ran a company that partnered with a university here in Germany to study advances in the technological sector that could be used for military equipment. They're also accused of illegally exporting a laser that doesn't sound so grave to begin with, but that laser is considered a dual-use item, so a civilian object that can be used for military purposes. But the real bombshell arrest came on Tuesday. You already mentioned it there when it became known that a longtime aide to a far-right politician, Maximilian Krah, who just so happens to be the top candidate for his party in the upcoming European elections, had also been taken into custody on spying charges. He is being described as a direct employee of the Chinese Secret Service, and his case is considered especially severe, with him passing on information about negotiations and decisions in the European Parliament and spying on Chinese opposition members here in Germany. Now, the MEP Maximilian Krah himself, whose party is flying high in polls here in Germany, is quite tight-lipped about the matter, but calls for consequences are rife. He refuses to step down, but many question how realistic it is that he, who has raised eyebrows through his links to China as well as Russia in the past, really knew nothing of his staffer's double identity.
And how are the German authorities then assessing these developments? How big is the collective threat?
Well, especially this last case has, of course, sent shockwaves through the country. The German Interior Minister has called it an attack on European democracy from within, and she's not alone in her assessment. The head of Germany's domestic intelligence agency told DW in an exclusive interview that the current threat level is comparable to that of the Cold War. But it's not only Russian and Chinese spying that has German authorities on high alert. It's also the threat of an Islamist terror attack as Germany heads into hosting the European Football Championship this summer, and Paris gets ready for the Olympics. Now, the German intelligence chief tells us there is information about the Islamic State Khorasan province group encouraging attacks similar to the ones in Paris and Brussels, both of them devastating, of course, a couple of years ago. Your viewers might remember. The most likely scenarios are believed to be those involving foreign hit teams that could have already infiltrated the country, planning big attacks, or domestically radicalized individuals, or lone wolves as they're known, setting out on smaller scale attacks like the ones we've seen more often in recent years here in Europe. The situation, of course, all the more volatile because of the crisis in the Middle East. German authorities insist they are well prepared and well enough coordinated to thwart any terror plots. Similar messaging coming out of Paris, but that might not be enough to quell the unease of those planning their visits to these mass events.
Nicole, thank you for joining us with those updates. And still to come on DT India Global.